Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome back to my 2019 Mercedes Sprinter build, where I'm taking a panel van and turning it into a badass adventure wagon. Today I'm showing you exactly how I plan on powering all of my electrics, including an electric water heater, induction hob, and many more, obviously. What I'm going to go ahead and say right now is this is an option. It's an option that I've chosen. It's the one that I think is best for this van. There's many options out there. Many great options. Ones that I looked at. This is not a Victron setup. This is not just lithium batteries with MPPTs and B2Bs and things like that. Stick around, because this thing is going to blow your mind. I'm super stoked about this video. I've been teasing little bits on Instagram for a while now, but here it is. There. I'm like a weatherman, like a really bad weatherman. The heart of this build is the Goal Zero 3000X. It's a power bank on steroids. Gotta tell you, absolutely awesome. It comes with the equivalent of 250 odd amp hours. It actually sells itself as having like 2,960 odd watt hours. Divide that by 12, you're basically getting about 250 plus amp hours. It is one hell of a bit of kit. It comes with a built-in MPPT that will give you up to 50 volts. So a mid-wheelbase van like mine, you know, it's got 280 watts on the roof, absolutely fine, you know, would eat that, no problem at all. It comes with, and this is where it surpasses all of the other power banks out there, it comes with a built-in B2B. Scrap that, it doesn't come with a built-in B2B, sorry. It comes with the ability to add a B2B. If that's the use that you're going to use it for, like a van build, like I am, you buy this, which is called a Yeti Link. It installs in the top. I'm probably going to do that. I've been waiting actually to fit this to show you guys. So it installs under the lid. You click that in. Comes with its own data cables and stuff like that. This gives you the ability to charge it while driving. It comes with a built-in B2B, basically. Once you pay for this, this is extra. And that will give you up to 50 amps, which I know Sterling do a single 60 amp B2B charger, but Victron only go up to 30 amps. People are putting them in tandem nowadays, so you can get a 60 amp charge. Although working the settings out to make sure that they are doing what they told seems to be a bit of fun for people at the moment. But this comes with up to 50 amps. I watched a video of a guy that used one in a van. It will not run unless it senses the alternator is running, so it won't drain your battery as long as you get the settings right, and I'm going to show you that. Honestly, all of that, 250 amp hours of lithium battery, B2B, MPPT, 2,000 watt inverter that will peak at 3,200 watts, because you know when you plug something in, that initial is really high. So at that point is when most inverters actually turn themselves off, because that initial peak is too high. This will allow a peak of 3,200 watts and will run 2,000 watts. Goal Zero promise that this will run any appliance in your home. Let me take you for a look. Right guys, let's slow it down a bit. Got a little bit giddy there, trying to reel off, yeah, it's this, it's that. Right, what have we actually got here? So, starting from how we charge it. It comes with a 16 volt 240 mains charger, like this. And I'll take you inside in a second, but it literally, with one of those little 8mm ports, just plugs into the top there. Because one of these ports at the top has got a 50 volt input, maximum 50 volts, so that is absolutely fine. Comes with a 16 volt charger, takes a while. If this was on 0, it'd probably take 16 hours, something like that, to charge. It gives you all of that information on here, so if you're using a load, it will literally measure how long you've got using that load at that time. So if I plug something in, it would say you've got X amount of hours, unless it exceeds 99 hours basically. So what I mean is, if I put my lights on, if this was at 100%, it would probably last 3 weeks, so that would just be at 99.9 hours. If I had a large load, like a hairdryer for example, it would measure that and probably say you've got 3 hours before this would be at 0. It's the same with charging it. So if I plug the charger in, it would say at 16 volts this will be fully charged in X amount of hours, and it says time to charge, etc. Real easy. This thing is the simplest it could honestly be. So this is 16 volt. I've got a 19 volt one, but I've also gone ahead and bought a real super duper larger charger that honestly, it knocks the spots off of all of them, and that one needs to be plugged in the front because that is a high power port. It actually puts in too much power for this port to allow. So that's one way of charging it, is the 240. So this is one of the little 240 chargers, and what would happen is you remove this little case here. Oh, no you don't, sorry, excuse me. The port on the back of there faces out the back there, and you just plug that in, and you could leave that plugged in, so whenever you are on hookup, this would literally take over and start charging. Absolutely fine, lovely and discreet. Or you can get this bad boy, which is unfortunately too big to fit under there, but a lot of people velcro this to the top or the back, and this charges at 40 volts. But it also comes with one of these high power ports. Some people call them Anderson. If they're facing one way, they're Anderson. If they're facing another, they're high power ports apparently. So that would literally click in there, and that would be charging that at a rate of 40 volts. It's an absolutely super duper charger. Awesome. Second way of charging it, the way we all love. It's free, it's renewable, it's clean, and that is solar power. So what does that look like? How do we get power from our roof panels into the unit? Basically, the exact same way you would with your standard MPPT, and that is with your solar wires. You bring your solar wires, you have to excuse how untidy it is. You bring your solar wires down through your roof, and then what I've done is I've used the MC4 connectors into a power pole connector. Now, I actually bought this cable online from Amazon. You can buy the crimps to make these yourself, but it didn't hold into the Goal Zero as nice as I wanted it to. This was my second one of trying, but I bought this and it properly locks in. So it's a shady day, we're on the driveway, which is always cold and shady. But this here is the MPPT. It says it all on here. 50 volt input, never exceed. You just lock that in there, and then straight away that light has come on. I probably won't get enough sunshine to actually prove it, and we're already at 100%. But it just jumped up there to 28 watts, 29 watts. This light here shows you that you're getting an input. That was immediate. Absolutely great. No settings. Do you know what? That's what I love about this unit. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to set parameters. You don't need to set absorption levels. You don't need to set float levels. A lot of people that have camper vans don't necessarily know all of that. And do you know what? I struggle sometimes. Even me, wonderful me. Even I called Chris at Bespoke Solar, BSPK Solar, and had him go through my settings because of my Victron kit, because there was just something that wasn't quite doing what it should, and it was lost on me. So this is plug and play. And what I'll say is, I'm getting a little bit lost here. What I'll say is, I've wired this van just like I would if I was going for a Victron kit. Just like I would. So, solar wires coming down. If at any point I needed to change this to a Victron setup, say the end user said to me, you know, when I come to sell it, said to me, oh, you know, I'd like to see all the Victron gear, I could put it in, and I'm not chasing wires up through the van of a finished van. It's exactly the same. So with the B2B side of it, which I'm going to show you in a second, it actually does come with a cable when you use that, that you would link to the battery, and it's a Goal Zero cable. Well, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do, or what I have done, is actually bring two cables down, just like I would if it was a Victron kit, and treat that point there as the battery, and then plug Goal Zero's wire into it, because then at any point, if I wanted to go down the Victron route, it's easy. You know, there wouldn't be a Goal Zero wire hidden in all the conduit. There's the wires that I would need to proceed with any kit. So moving forward, this van could have any kit. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, under your watchful eye, is actually go ahead and install the Yeti Link. This is what makes it, that's basically your B2B. It hides discreetly under the top panel like I suggested. Let's get that fitted. It's been a long time coming. What we have here is 6 tiny little screws in the top. Hopefully you can see from there. I might zoom in so it might go a bit pixelated, but you've basically got, quite obviously, I think this is called an EC8. Could be wrong, we don't get many of these. Oh, it says on it, look at that, EC8. Don't get many connections like this over in the UK, you know, your power poles and your Andersons. That's not how we do it really. And then you've got a data cable. So I'm going to plug both of those in. You can't get that wrong looking at the orientation of that, if I'm honest, because they are shaped totally different. You get locked in there. You get locked in there. Take your 4 little, your new screws. Once that little, it's called a Yeti Links. Once that is connected, you need to cycle through the settings. There are 2 settings. One of them is the B2B. That will only allow power to run into the unit when it senses the voltage of an alternator. The other is called tank mode. Now, I've recently learned that you can actually extend the battery bank to this unit. So if 250 amp hours isn't enough, now I run my black van on 100 amp hours and I've never had a problem. If 250 amp hours isn't enough, you can buy battery banks from 100 amp hours up to another 400 amp hours and connect them directly to this unit. And at that point, that's where your tank mode comes into it, because what you would be looking for, those batteries to replenish this battery, so it basically drain it. So if you had it in tank mode connected to your car, it would actually flatten your battery. So what we do is we cycle through the settings, and you literally, there's one of those, almost like one of those little reset buttons, you know. To cycle through from tank mode to car mode, you need something long and thin, almost like a safety pin here. and there's a little hole in the top like a reset button. We're going to press it 4 times. Now, there's going to be 2 sequences. It's going to flash from bottom to top, which means that's in tank mode. So if I connected that to my car's battery, it would actually drain the battery. Or all 4 flashing at the same time, that is actually car mode. So let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is tank mode. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is now in car mode. So now when I connect this to my vehicle's battery, that will only receive power when the alternator is ready to do so. While I've got you in here for a close-up, let me go through the front here. So this, like I said before, is your MPPT. So straight away, even though we're in the shade, we're getting little bits and bobs. No hours to full. Now, basically, that's because we're at 100%. You got other inputs here. So if you had the portable solar panels, the ones that you kind of stretch out, like the foldable ones, you can put that input in there because they're all 8mm. These are different outputs here. 12-volt cigarette lighter. This is all controlled. The on-off is controlled here. This, in fact, is a 12-volt high output. So this will give you 30 amps. Now, once again, I've bought a cable like this, pre-made. What I'm actually going to do is remove the MPPT and put ring terminals on there and connect that to my fuse board. It's exactly the same as you would for any 12-volt system. So that will connect into the front there. Lovely and snug. And that'd be good to go. That'll go straight to my fuse board. Now, what's great about this is we don't need any isolators. We don't need any safety steps, because if anything were to happen, you literally disconnect that and that is safe to touch. That's not exposed. This isn't exposed. So it's absolutely, I'm going to go ahead and say it's idiot proof. So everything is on your display here. We've got some fast chargers on the fronts. With USB-C, 2 USBs, and another USB-C over here. You can cycle through your info. You can change the units from watts into amps and all that kind of thing. You can actually turn the light totally off. Then we have the piece de resistance, the inverter. Obviously it comes Americanized. But also, if you buy it over here, it comes with an adapter in black, all ready to go, power rated, absolutely fine. Let me just plug that back in there. And once again, inverter has got a control button, because all inverters, they use power, even in standby mode. So as you can see there, we're now using 9 watts of power. Now that's just because the inverter is on. So you would only ever actually have the inverter on when you are planning to use it. Says here 2000 watts, a 3500 watt surge. So you'll have to excuse me, I thought it was 3200. A 3500 watt surge. So this can basically power anything. So if your missus says, I won't be able to use my hair straighteners or my hair dryer, she will. There's no excuse. The wife can come camping if you want her to, that is. Or keep it under your hat. Maybe you don't want her to, I don't know. Because all the 12-volt side of things is all exactly the same. You just connect that into your 12-volt fuse board and it goes off and does all of its same things. All of that is exactly the same. It's just a power bank. Now, likewise, this is 250 amp hours of power. 250 amp hours of power, no matter who make it, lasts the same amount of time. It's just maths. If you're using 250 amps, it's going to last an hour. Basically, that's exactly how it works. Don't matter who make the battery bank, as long as the cells are good, it'll be absolutely fine. So this is, just because it's in a power bank doesn't mean it's any less power than it would be if I had 2 leisure batteries sat side by side. Apart from the fact, in fact, you can use all of this. When you get to 0, and this is one of the massive advantages of this, When you get to 0, you haven't broken this. So with all lithium batteries, you get to 0 and you're in the danger zone. Once you pass 20%, you know, you're starting to do damage to the batteries. Not this, because this has got its own computer. I'd imagine at 0, it's actually at 20%, if that makes any sense. Like there's some in reserve. It would just stop working, cut itself out and say, please charge me, but you haven't done any damage to it. Which leads me on to say, someone did actually message me when I put this on Instagram and said that they've looked into a Yeti and it will only give you, or Yeti will only guarantee 500 full discharges. Now, it doesn't mean that after 500 full discharges it's going to break. It just means it might take slightly longer to charge. You might lose an amp hour or two. I don't know. But at 500, that's full discharges to 0. If you went camping every single weekend, so every weekend, and discharge this to 0, it still lasts 10 years. If you discharge it to 50%, that doesn't, you don't get 1,000 at 50%. You get way more. They call it measuring in linear. So at 50%, it might have 5,000 charges. But if you charge it to 0, that is a full discharge. They guarantee 500 charges or 500 full discharges. Doesn't mean it's going to break. Doesn't mean that after 500 you need to replace it. It just means that they can't guarantee its performance after that. Now, I know someone that's had a little 1500 for years. You know, use it every single weekend. 10 years every weekend, total discharge. I'm good with that. So as far as wiring up the van itself, all the 12 volt is exactly as it would be. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm basically using the power bank as an extension lead, or I'm plugging an extension lead into it. And on my unit here, I'm going to have 2 of these sockets. One of them is for when we're on shore power, so you can use that to your heart's content. And then this one is for being plugged into the Goal Zero. Now what that means is you can only plug one thing in at a time. I like that. I've designed it that way. I've done it on purpose, because if you've got an induction hob on and then you think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put the kettle on, and so you don't want to overload it, you don't want to abuse it, because you can wait. I don't think there's any 2 things that you know drastically need on at any one time. So many things are charged by 12 volt, and I've got 12 volt chargers all over the place. It can all be used at the same time. I actually, apart from now that I've got a little power bank of my own, I don't even have 240 in the black van. I've never needed it. Everything is 12 volt. Everything I charge, or it's not even actually 12 volt. It's like 4 or 5 volts, but a USB connector. But that there will offer people the chance to put like an induction hob on here, coffee machine, hair straighteners if you want to, hair dryer. It is so powerful. Anything that's in your home, it will power. They can guarantee that. There's nothing that you've got in your home unless you've got a grow house. You know, you can power it off of this Goal Zero. So I'm basically an extension lead from there to here, and then when you want it, you just turn that inverter on. How do you do that? What I'm about to show you now is probably one of my favourite things. Now, what we're going to do is we are just going to press the Wi-Fi button on there. Hopefully, yep, this is starting to tell me that we got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Obviously, this doesn't dance around like it does on the camera, by the way. There we are. There we have it. Yeti. Let's connect to that. Over to our Goal Zero app. Dun dun dun. Sequence may be shortened. Says I'm connected. Click onto my Yeti, and there we have it. Everything at the touch of a button. So keep your eye on above that plug. I'm going to turn my 230 off. Off. Absolutely awesome. So this gives you all your data, a bit like you'd expect on all of the other power banks, or not power banks, power setups. You know, Victron has everything's Bluetooth and things like that, but you can literally turn on or off all of the devices. See them coming on? From here. 3,000 watt hours, because we're at 100%, tells you the temperature. If I started to use loads, you'll have to excuse the noise, but we can't have everything. There we go. There we go. 15 hours to empty. So this is a way of monitoring all of what's going on your Goal Zero. It's absolutely awesome, guys. It's absolutely awesome. And the great thing about an app like this is it's just started to rain, believe it or not. Is updates are available all the time. So they're still ironing out kinks and things like that, or improving it, making things more, better, evolving. When you haven't just bought a power bank and that's it, you've got it and it's going to be out of date. This is going to stay in date and relevant. And new products that come out, you can just update the firmware. There aren't too many settings. I've looked right through it. I mean, you can turn the light off, you can change the units and things like that. It takes care of everything. It is idiot proof, dummy proof. It is so simple. Not everyone that has a camper van can, and I know I've just said this, but there are so many parameters if you've got a separate MPPT, a battery to battery, setting them all up so that they talk to each other correctly. Even I get kerfuddled with my Victron setup, and it's, a fairly simple setup. This is absolutely awesome. It almost ended up in the black van. I've got to tell you, I almost ended up taking all the blue stuff and putting it in here and keeping this to myself, because it is a beast. And do you know what? With the way the world is at the moment, I like having this thing around. They do a 6000X that you can actually integrate into your home. Don't know if I need to go quite that far, but the thought of having this around, just having it in the garage fully charged, it does actually help me sleep at night a little bit better, with the boy and the way power things and yeah. Anyway, don't want to be a doom monger. Half the size of all of these items individual, half the size, probably even more than that. Honestly, it's got to be the new way. It has to be the new way. That you can add 400 amp hours to this. You could, that'd be a 650 amp hour battery bank. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm jealous that this van has it, and not my big black camper. Now then, I'm actually looking to heat my hot water via this Goal Zero. So we got basically we got an extension lead from here to up the front, like I've just shown you. That gives us power up there for coffee machines, kettles, induction hobs, all of the domestic stuff. Now, what I propose to do is put a calorifier in here, like a 10 litre, almost like a real small immersion tank. I'm not going to use the engine's coolant to heat it. I just think that's problematic. It's a mid-wheelbase Sprinter. It has a shower off the back of the van, but not in the van. Chances are you're going to want hot water for doing a bit of washing up, maybe washing the dog down, that kind of thing. I don't believe it's the be-all and end-all. So my suggestion, my plan is to have that hot water hot on departure of your trip, because it stays hot in those cylinders for up to 24 hours. So that's banging. And then the other option is the immersion is going to be plugged into a plug that is then powered by shore power. So whenever you're on shore power, you're instantly getting hot water. Absolutely fine. The second option then, or the third option, I can't remember where I was up to, is if you really wanted to, you could unplug it from that shore power hookup, which is going to be in the back here, and plug it directly into the Yeti. You can use the Yeti to, obviously, because it'll power anything. It's only 1 kilowatt. I'd use a hairdryer that will go up to like 1500 watts or something like that. I think that's the best way. You're not going to get caught draining your battery for hot water that you don't need. You have to make a conscious decision to say, right, I am going to use my battery to give me some hot water. Now, I believe it only takes about half an hour, so half an hour at a kilowatt. You're not going to be taking, you know, massive chunks out your battery bank, but if you were already running low, that's a bad decision. So that's how I'm going to power my hot water. So you can always have hot water, but you just have to make a conscious decision to choose it. Let's address the elephant in the room. It's about 3,500 quid's worth, and then you've got a few leads, a few extras, you know, if you want the extra charger, the extra big bad boy charger and things like that. It is quite expensive. You can easily get to that price building your own kit, by the way, out of all the individual parts, but it is ready to go. It is plug and play. So once you've got the wires in, just like you would anyway, that has to be done, you basically clip 3 or 4 different things in. You're not wiring, you're not crimping, you're not hiding cables. Everything is in this box, and that side of things I absolutely love. It is so user friendly, so user friendly, and you can't break it, I'd like to think. Once again, because it's zero, you haven't damaged it. I mean, when I go camping, I keep an eye on my battery bank, because that's what we do. You know, every hour or so, you checking in, making sure that you've not got a phantom draw, or you know, that you're flattening it by accident. Some people don't do that. Some people aren't so aware. This will be okay at zero. Worst case scenario, if you do get to zero, you haven't broken it, you turn your engine on, you go for a little drive, or you idle. I know you're not supposed to, by the way. It's not advised that you just sit there on idle, but you will get extra charge, you know, 50 amps basically. I'm not in a position to put it in the hole yet, because I'm still waiting for a unit to come, and that's where it's going. Not ready to show you all of that. I will down the line, maybe as part of the final van tour. Oh, I love it. I love it. I want it. I want it. I actually want that. I want the 6,000, and I just want to put it in the garage, and I just want to leave it there knowing that I've got it. Yes, I might be a little bit of a prepper at heart, who knows, but this is honestly a new way of considering powering your van. If you get lost on all of the battery monitors, the battery shunts, the battery protects, the BMVs, all of that, if all of that gets a little bit lost on you, you can put one of these in the hole and just go click, 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 and you are ready to go camping. Thanks again for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the like button, let me know what you think about running a van on a power bank. I can't wait. I think it's going to absolutely eat this van, and there's going to be no power issues whatsoever. Thanks for joining, and I will see you next Tuesday.